guys, Joe the Big Nerdy Biker here, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite group rides I've ever done. It was a ride up to Valley of the Kings in Sharon, Wisconsin, and it happened on July 8th, 2012. The video we're going to watch, though, was recorded in September of 2022, 10 years later, riding from Waukegan. It's going to pick up in Green Oaks, Illinois, actually here, down to Naperville, Illinois. Headed down to meet somebody for that. But before we get started, I'm going to ask you to do the usual, the like, share, and subscribe, and we'll get going in just a minute. Now, like I said, we're going to talk about a group ride I did over a decade ago. Now, I don't typically do a lot of large group rides, right? I typically ride myself and up to 4, maybe 5 bikes. I don't like riding with too many people because the bigger the group, the bigger the problems. The bigger the group, the more time every stop takes. And the experience I've had in the area where I live is, if you do a ride with the Harley shop, you're riding with a bunch of people who don't know how to ride. Either people who don't have experience and don't understand riding in a group with people that have aged to the point of having difficulty keeping their bikes up themselves, or people who just think they're too cool for school and just aren't prepared to ride with groups. It's always just a disaster waiting to happen, in my personal experience, riding with the groups at the Harley shop. Combine that along with my natural social awkwardness. It's just often I ride alone. I just don't have a lot of people I trust to ride along with. So I often ride alone. I often work weird work schedules, so it's hard for me to time scheduling with people, so I just do a lot of riding by myself as it is. This particular ride was me and my ex-wife as my passenger, and it was with the Harley shop for Woodstock Harley Davidson in Illinois here. I'd seen the ad pop up in probably Facebook or maybe Cyclefish or something like that, and what it was is it was a group ride from the dealership to up to Sharon, Wisconsin to visit the Valley of the Kings large cat rescue. And I was like, that's an amazing thing. I can't pass that up. It's hard for me to pass up animals and the bike at the same time, right? So I talked to my ex-wife, and we just figured it out. We squirreled some money away for the ride. We were not doing well financially at the time, but we squirreled some money away to go on this ride. So the day of this ride, we were actually living, 60-ish miles from the Harley shop that was putting on the ride. So, we got up nice and early and rode 60 miles to get to the Harley shop in time for this ride. And it was a far bigger turnout than I had expected. As you do expect with the Harley shop, though, they did do a safety briefing and all that before we left. We had a pony up to about 20 bucks. They definitely made sure we didn't go kickstands off on time, so that everybody could explore the Harley dealership and look at the stuff they might want to buy, and buy plenty of t-shirts and other junk like that for the people that had that kind of income, because that's what they do the rides for, right? So like I said, we went kickstands up. They had given us instructions to keep the newer riders up to the front, and the basics, right? So I took a position towards the middle back. The rider in front of me, however, was a guy on a trike. I remember this trike vividly. It was a blue, electric light style trike, and this guy could not keep his bike going in a straight line. He was swerving all over the road as we progressed. And we had quite the ride that they had mapped out to get up to the Valley of the Kings. And this guy the whole time all over the road on his trike, and it just blew my mind. One of the reasons I decided I was pretty much done riding group rides. Well, it was a pretty enough ride through roads that I ride pretty consistently nowadays still, going into Sharon, and we finally arrived up to Valley of the Kings. Valley of the Kings, like I said, is a big cat shelter, and this parking lot was packed, as you see in pictures that I post up here. And it was just filled to the brim. One of the highlights that I didn't know, so I was not prepared, was you could bring raw chicken there to feed to the cats. That's right, you could feed lions and tigers and such at this place. Well, like I said, we had arrived at the Harley shop with a bunch of people who had gone up there. Everybody had paid their $20, and there were people that just couldn't get through this fast enough. This place essentially is a farm that has like chain link fence cages throughout most of it. It's not a fancy zoo. It's not a habitat place. This is a place where they take in abused animals that had been belonged to drug dealers, animals that people had been taken as exotic pets and couldn't handle them. So there's more than just the big cats as well. So they took us through basically in tours. They gave us guides to take us through, and for the most part, most of the people stayed with their guides for a while, and then many wandered off. And there were a lot of people that had been at this place for less than 15 minutes, it felt like. A lot of people just got up and went, like, almost as soon as they got there. This was an animal thing, so of course I was interested to hear the stories on virtually every animal they had at the place, and especially the stories of how they ended up there. So unfortunately, I'm not going to remember many of the names of the animals because I'm a forgetful dude and this is a decade ago. But the first couple animals we met were a blind horse and its seeing eye donkey. Now, the blind horse was blind because it had been kept in such terrible conditions and it actually had its eyes eaten by bugs. It had, when they got it, it had like maggots in its eyeballs and they had to have them removed. So the horse cannot see, it has no eyes. However, there's this donkey there that has taken it upon itself to be the blind horse's guide. Now, I don't remember what was going on with the blind horse, or the donkey, my bad. But, yeah, it was just a donkey that decided to lead this horse around to help it find where it had to go. Now, there were other horses there as well in the same pen. I can't remember what the deal was with everything, of course, but there was this one miniature horse in there. And it's had a problem with its hooves to the point that the hooves have like rubber soles on them. They had to put rubber soled like croc type things on this horse's hooves. So as we go through this place, we see a couple normal farm type animals. We see a llama or alpaca. Can't really tell those things apart. We see a pig. And then there's a camel. Now, I don't remember why the camel was there. Again, like I said, a lot of these creatures had been taken in as exotic pets and not properly cared for, or taken in off of police raids and such like that. But yeah, in the middle of this pen with the horses, the pigs, the alpacas, just a camel chilling out in the middle of Wisconsin. So we would continue along the trip here, and we come across the panthers, and the panthers are just a fun creature to watch. And we come up to some lions. Several of them penned different ways. There's, a couple females by themselves, male by himself, and then there's a couple brothers that are penned together. They explained to us there was a reason why these males couldn't grow manes, But it was over a decade ago, and I'll be honest with you, I don't remember. I can't remember if it was because they were neutered or because of something before they came into the care of the facility where they just... I remember there was some reason that they will never grow manes, but I can't come up with it off the top of my head, to be honest with you. One more interesting thing before we get off the lions, something that I saw there, is the lions at this place. They're caged near the road. You can't visually see the road, but they are housed near the road. And when they hear motorcycles going past, they roar back. They hear the roaring of motorcycles going past, and they hear it as competition from another lion. And as we're walking around, there's people there that had been prepared and brought their raw chicken to feed the animals, and they give them bamboo sticks to just push like the chicken legs through the fence, and then the lions and tigers will take the food right off the stick and eat it, and they count on it for part of the feeding of their animals. When it comes to feeding of the animals, though, there is a note to be had that specifically we are not to feed the bears any meat. I'm assuming that would make them aggressive, and that's why we were told not to. A few of the other animals we saw there were wolves and wolf dog hybrids, other types of cats too, which it's like a spotted bobcat type deal. I can't remember the exact species. Normally I'm better about this than I am today. Saw wild turkey walking around on this farm. There was, but the highlight of this particular trip was the tigers. Now there were a couple tigers there, and they were out and about walking, and they were able to be fed. So me and my ex-wife were pretty much the latest people to stay there. And as the place had died down and calmed down, this tiger named Obi came out of his house inside of his habitat. And he came up and he just walked around, grabbed some water, grabbed some food, and he laid up against the cage. Now I'm going to break a little bit of confidence here, and I'm not going to post the picture with their face, but one of the employees who was there walking us around and was telling us about the animals let us pet the tiger through the cage. Yes, that's right. We were allowed to pet a tiger on this ride, and that's probably what makes this my favorite group ride of all time, because I got to pet a stinking tiger. Yeah, so after we pet the tiger, we hung out at the place for a little bit longer, and there was only a handful of people left. Like, we went from probably, I'd estimate, 100-ish bikes to maybe a half dozen people that were there that were actually leaving about the same time that I was leaving. And we were speaking with them in the parking lot, and I wasn't quite sure where I was, to be honest. I could get myself home, but I wasn't exactly sure where I was at. And they were talking about how they were going to go someplace afterwards. I'm like, well, where are you going to go? I'm like, well, we're going to go to this bar. And then these couple people were like, well, we're going to go over here. And then this one couple was like, well, we're going to go stop at the Dari on the way home. And I'm like, the Dari? I'm like, what is that? And, is that a bar or something? Like, no, it's an ice cream shop. And I was like, well, these are the people that I'm going to follow back into Illinois and then find the rest of my way home with. Because few motorcycle rides are complete without a stop for ice cream. So we decided to follow these folks from Sharon at the Valley of the Kings down to the Dari in Hebron at the corner of 47 and 173 is where it's located. And I was quite surprised when I got there. Now, not because of what the place is. It's one of those ice cream shops that's been around for forever and a day that most towns have. Near where I grew up as a kid, we had a couple of them around that were called Tasty Freezes. But this was called the Dari, and it's the, just slidey window ice cream shop, right? But because of the location, it is a hot spot for motorcycle riders, people with classic cars, everything. When you go there, you never know what you're going to see there. I've seen all sorts of things, and not because it's like a cruise night situation, but because that's where people are just stopping, going from place to place. One of my favorite things is because of that location, there's a lot of bikes there that stop there, and you'll see these big, burly, hairy, leather-clad bikers. You know the type I'm talking about.
Well, of course I know. It's me.
All walking around, licking pink and purple ice cream cones, and just not giving a care. It's great. There's a lot of people that aren't worried about their image and impressing people, just walking around, having a good time, and communicating out there. People walk around and look at other people's bikes, look at some of the cars that come through there. I mean, I was there one day and like a bunch of us were geeking out over this Volkswagen van bus that was there, and it was just having a good time. And again, it's not like a cruise night situation. It's off Highway 47, which is kind of the back road into and out of Lake Geneva, and then it's on 173, which is like the northernmost major highway in Illinois, and it goes all the way across the state, and it's not far from Route 14 either. So it's just a really good location where if you're stopping by and you're hot, you can stop and grab yourself an ice cream and cool down. It's a spot that I plan on my routes a lot of times. And I've taken my ex-wife there, I've taken several girlfriends there, I've taken nieces there, I've taken nephews there. It's just a place I like to stop. It's just a good spot, good location, and a good atmosphere there usually when I go there. So after we had our ice cream, we jumped on the scooter and headed home, and just went about life as normal. But like, I remember petting that tiger pretty regularly. Like that's a good moment in my life, and something that pops up into my head pretty regularly. Alright guys, we're going to call it there. I'm going to be honest with you, this ride was honestly the third subject I had decided to talk about for the evening. I'm going to ask you to do the whole like, share, and subscribe before you get on out of here. Sharing is huge. This writing video is the primary and not the subject. Is a tough nut to crack, so please, anybody, share it around. If you have something you do want me to talk about during these videos, I really appreciate the guidance and direction. I don't really talk about club stuff. I'm not in a club. Never was in a club, so I don't really have the space to talk about clubs. I may talk about somebody that's an individual that has been in a club or is in a club, because it's relevant to a story about an individual and not about the club itself. So I don't really do club talk. Give me some direction of where you want to go. This video, we've actually only gotten as far as Long Grove, Illinois, and I'm going to be cutting this off pretty soon. But I appreciate you hanging out with me again. I'll catch you on down the road. See ya. Bye.